Are you thinking about selling your house, but you have no idea what it costs to do that? Well, in this video, I'm breaking it down for you. And if you stick around to the very end, I'm going to throw in a cost that is always paid for by the buyer. And we're going to get into it right after this. Hey, what's going on? Brad Gates with Right at Home Realty. I am a realtor here in the Greater Toronto area. I focus from Toronto all the way to Bowmanville, and this channel is all about real estate and area. So if you are looking to move to any city, whether it be Toronto, Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa, Bowmanville, then subscribe to the channel and click that little bell. That way you're notified each and every time I do post new videos. I go live as well from time to time. These videos that I do release, it also helps explain the buying and the selling process. So if it sounds interesting to you, you're definitely going to want to stick around through the channel, explore some of my other videos that I've posted. I have people reaching out from all over the world and I absolutely love it. So if you're looking to buy, sell, or invest in the Greater Toronto area, then you can call, text, email, send the carrier pigeon, whatever is easiest for you. And I'm here to make your move and relocation go so much easier. We're going to get into it right now. Our first point has to do with staging and home prep. So these cover off things like painting, both the inside and the out if it is required. That can be a few $100s to a few $1,000s, depending on how much painting is actually required, and then also the quality of paint. If you're just painting your house to sell, you might not need the best quality paint. You just want something that's going to go on easy and look nice. And odds are the new buyer moving in is going to want to change the paint color anyways, but you just want it to look good for when people first come in. Professional cleaning is something that you might want to consider, where you have people come in and they'll deep clean your whole house. So that could be a few $100s to have that done. To save money on that, you can do it yourself. And that way you're just going to make sure that the house is good and the baseboards are clean, the floors are clean, carpet, everything just is really clean and organized, because it does make a big difference when people walk in. I've had a lot of times people they comment on the dirtiness of a house and how they get grossed out being in the house. So you just want to make sure that that doesn't happen. So either professional cleaners or you just do a good cleaning job yourself before the listing happens. That way people walk in and they're impressed right from the start. Gardening. So with that, if you're listing in the spring or the summer, you might want to consider throwing in some flowers into your gardens, topping up with mulch. Make sure that your grass is cut and that everything is always in its best form whatsoever. So when we drive up, everything is just, they're being impressed, and that's what you want, people being impressed from the start. Staging is also another important one. So you can have that range from a light primping, which is going to be a house that, you know, the furniture suits everything. The rooms, they look good in terms of the furniture there, not making the rooms look too small or too empty. So everything on the furniture side is good, but you might need some soft goods, which might be bedspreads, some artwork, some pictures, that kind of thing, where it just helps fill the walls, especially if you've looked at some of my other videos where some of the points are taking down a lot of family photos and pictures. So if you are doing that, you're going to have a lot of empty space on the walls. That sometimes staging artwork and decor pieces can make a big difference to how the house looks when it is being photographed, and then also when people are coming in. If you are staging, then you might want to consider doing offsite storage or those PODs, where it's those big little storage containers that go into your driveway, and pretty much you load all your stuff into it, and then the pod company, they pick it up, drop it off to your new location. So a lot of the things that you won't need from the time you list to the time you unpack at your new house, put it into the pod, and it does save time down the road, especially when you're packing to move, where you already have a lot of your stuff in those little shipping / storage containers. With all of this, it's easy to spend money on all of the wrong things. Maybe spending too much on a kitchen or too much on a bathroom or too much on painting. So you want to talk to a trusted realtor or perhaps a stager that can come in and help point you in the right direction for that. Usually home staging is on the seller, but some agents, including me, they actually cover that as part of the whole listing package, just to make it easier, because when I'm selling something, I want it to look amazing, and I am not a designer and I'm not going to pretend that I am. So I just rather have a stager come in where I firmly believe in it. Stager comes, they'll point you in the right direction in terms of how you make your house look the best that it possibly can. And just remember that you only have one chance to make a first impression. In another video I've done, I talked about something called confirmation bias, where it's pretty much the initial reaction people get, their brain is adding to or taking away from it. So when you have somebody pull up and everything on the outside is good, and that first initial reaction when they walk through your front door is good as well, then they're walking through the rest of your house and they're just confirming a lot of the good things and maybe missing some of the things that, that they don't really like. Check out the video that just popped up on the screen, and that will take you to the video that covers off a lot of these little home selling tips that I've done in the past. Our second point has to do with a pre-listing home inspection. So the cost for this is usually between $400 and $600. And they're great to have because in some cases it puts all the issues on the table. So there's no surprises. There's nothing worse than accepting an offer and then having to do an amendment later, either asking you to fix a ton of stuff or having a price reduction done to cover some of the cost of these repairs. If you have a home inspection that's done up front, you're up front with all these issues. So when offers come through, you've already noted maybe the furnace that is older or the roof part that needs to be fixed. Now you might be saying, well, what if it's a strong market and a lot of firm offers are coming through? Well, the good thing with having a pre-listing inspection done ahead of time is those offers that would have come in conditional, perhaps on a home inspection, are now going to become firm offers. And sometimes you do have it where the highest offer that comes through in a multiple offer situation is a conditional one, which gets overlooked because somebody goes with a firm one. So that can really help add a little bit of money to the sale price of your home. And just remember that the person with the most knowledge actually wins the negotiation. So if you get caught off guard with an issue, then you don't have time to prepare for it. Where if you've done the pre-home inspection and you kind of know these issues, then it makes a big difference because now you're aware of what issues could come up if somebody is still going to do their home inspection. And it just allows you to put you in a good spot. There's nothing worse than a buyer notifying you of an issue because then you get caught off guard and sometimes you just go quick to fix it because you're embarrassed by it or you didn't expect it. So in this case, knowing about it up front gives you time to prepare for it. Before moving on, I just want to remind everybody to like the video, comment with questions that you have, whether they're good or bad experiences that maybe you've had with selling your home, because people that are watching my videos, they do read the comments and it just helps shed light on it because with real estate, there's a lot of good and a lot of bad that happens. So I always just like to know other people's stories and situations, whether they're really good or they're really bad. It's just something that does help other people as well. And then also if you're liking the video and the channel, please subscribe and click that little bell. And then it lets me know people are enjoying what I'm putting out there, and I really appreciate it. Our third point has to do with the status certificate, and this is more so for condos. So what a status certificate is it's used to check the financial stability of a condo corporation, and it checks the reserve fund. It checks to make sure there's no legal proceedings against the unit or the condo corporation, which could result in higher maintenance fees. Or if there's not enough of a reserve fund and there's a major issue that happens, then they might have to consider a special assessment, which is each unit being responsible to pay an X amount of dollars to help offset the money that's being charged to the corporation. So it's just something when you're buying a condo with this status certificate, it gives you the opportunity to, limit your risk when you're buying into a condo to make sure you're not buying into one that has a lot of financial issues. And it just gives you an opportunity to make sure there's nothing proceeding against the unit you're buying as well, because if you don't know about it, then it's something that when you do go to close, it could create an issue. So you just want to make sure that you do have the status certificate. It costs about $100 to get a status certificate, and it takes 10 days to get. So if you don't have one ahead of time, it's actually a 14-day condition. It's 2 days for the request to be made, and then it's 10 days for the condo corporation or the property management company to give the seller the status certificate. And then there's 2 days for the lawyer review, where if you just get it right up front, then you only, if it's going to be a condition, is only going to be a 2-day condition. But sometimes it doesn't even turn into a condition because people look at the status certificate ahead of time and then they're comfortable with what they're seeing and they don't even put it as a condition. Some agents, including me, they just pay it to make sure that it's there and it's done, because I just prefer to have the status certificate. So again, there's no surprises. To add to my earlier point, those with the more knowledge, they actually do better at the negotiation table. So knowing anything that could be a potential problem up front helps eliminate a lot of issues that could happen down the road. Our fourth cost associated with selling your house is the biggest one, and it is the real estate commissions. So the range from that is 1% for a for sale by owner type property where you're listing it on Comfree or Property Guys, where typically it's a flat fee type service. So that's the beginning range, and it does go all the way up to 6%, and it really depends on the agent, the experience, the skills, the inclusions, and then their proven results. One thing to note too with commissions, because it is a service, it is plus HST. So on the low end, it's 1% plus HST, and then it goes all the way to 6% plus HST. Now, it might seem like a lot of money, but once all the splits happens, now you'll understand why the percentages are what they are, especially when you're factoring in all of the things that could be included. The way the commission is actually split as well is typically a portion, usually it's about half goes to the listing agent brokerage, and then half goes to the buyer's agent's brokerage. And then the buyer's brokerage and then the listing brokerage, they pay the listing agent, and then they pay the buyer's agent. And that just goes to show that of that percentage, typically 50% goes to listing brokerage, 50% goes to the buyer's brokerage, and then it gets split to the agents from there. Now, one thing I do see all the time, and you can kind of tell when a commission has been discounted on a listing brokerage side, because they usually don't do professional photography or video tours or print marketing or social media advertising or staging. Like, they'll do nothing. They do the bare minimum. In some cases, they're just taking pictures with their phone, and they're not even landscape. They use them as portrait, or it's just they use it at nighttime, or when it's like, it's just, I've seen some really bad pictures to the point where I've had clients not even want to go see homes, and then I would preview it ahead of time and take pictures with my phone or do a little video for them to see, and then it completely changes their mindset. But the problem is, how many buyers didn't go in because of the photography or because it wasn't staged? And it does make a big difference with the overall sale price. I charge 5%, but I include all of the above. So I add the value to the listing to make sure that it's getting the full exposure, and the photography is done properly, and the staging is done properly, and the house is clean. Like, I just make sure that the house is ready to go. And then when it does get offers, I'm negotiating on the seller's behalf, and I'm not just trying to rush the sale. And that's the biggest thing that I see. We're dealing with other listing agents, or sometimes even buyer's agents. They're such in a rush to just get the deal done that they're not even caring for the benefit of their client. And that's something that it just bothers me on a sense, to where if I was put in that situation where maybe I didn't know how the buyer's agent was being, or how the listing agent was being. And that's just something I would want to make sure that they're going to be representing my interest to the fullest. The cheapest way, if you're looking to sell your house and you don't want to pay a lot of commission, is you can either just put a for sale sign on your front yard and hope somebody will call you, or you can do companies like Purple Bricks or Comfree or Property Guys. Like, these are some of the options where it's more of a flat fee service, and you can even have it where you're not willing to pay a commission at all. And then what that will show on the MLS is that the seller is not willing to pay a commission, and then you're going to have it where buyer's agents, they are not going to suggest your property because they have a client that they are not going to be getting anything from. So they won't work with the seller directly because the seller is not willing to pay. There was a property in Coburg that I had a client interested in, and it was on Comfree or Purple Bricks. I forget which one it was. And it was a property, it was listed, and because it was a for sale by owner, then they just trusted Comfree or Purple Bricks. I forget which one they were using. And it was in Coburg, and it was put on the Cambridge Real Estate Board. So if you're not familiar with the Greater Toronto Area, it's complete separate sides of Toronto. And so what I found with that was a lot of the Toronto real estate agents, or the North Cumberland, which would be considered the Coburg Real Estate Board there, they weren't even notified of this listing unless a buyer was looking on Realtor.ca and they brought it up. So what happened was this townhome that was there, that was priced really well, wasn't getting full exposure. So we went in a little bit below ask to just test them out to see what was going on. And they wanted more, which was reasonable because it was priced really well. So we went to, I think, $5,000 or $6,000 above list price. And then, I was talking with them, and they said, yeah, everything is good. They just wanted to get the lawyer review to make sure that they knew what they were signing, which is another reason why a lot of times buyers agents won't like to show the for sale by owner companies, is because you might have 24 hours or 48 hours between offer expiration. So if you as a buyer are submitting a property offer and they want 48 hours, that means for 2 days your offer is tied up. And if you're in a strong seller's market, I've had it sometimes where people are kind of writing offers every single day in hopes of getting one house, and they don't want to get tied up for that long. So it's just a little drawback from dealing with the sellers directly. And so push came to shove, and then they wanted more money on top of what we were going to give. So it was their second time kind of extending their price point. And after the first time, they said that they were happy with it, unless something came in ridiculously high, they were going to go with our offer. Well, that changed. They didn't. And then my buyer, she just got fed up with it because she just didn't know when this was going to stop. And she had been tied up for 48 hours already. So she was just no longer interested with selling. And they ended up selling it for a little bit less than what our offer was. And it's something where they just didn't really know when to stop. And that's something that in real estate, you learn that. Our fifth cost associated with selling your home are legal fees. So they're approximately $1,500 per side. So if you're selling, that's $1,500, but then you're rebuying, it's another $1,500. Sometimes more, sometimes less. That's just the benchmark average that I've kind of found through my experience with dealing with different lawyers. Our sixth cost associated with selling is going to be the cost of movers. So if you're going to be hiring movers, you want to make sure that you're using reputable ones. I've heard it over and over again, never with any of my clients, thankfully, where it's just movers kind of hold people's items as ransom, and they'll quote one price and then they'll load the truck up, head to the new house, and then they want their payment before they unload. And their fee went maybe from $1,000 to $2,000. Or I've had it where they quote for having 3 guys in a truck and only 1 guy or sometimes 2 guys in a truck show up. So it's just a lot of promises get made. So you want to make sure that they are reputable. The average move cost, I would say, is probably between $1,500 and $2,000, but it could go up depending on how much stuff you actually have. The seventh cost of selling your home could be a mortgage penalty. So you want to check with the fine print with your mortgage paperwork, maybe ask your mortgage broker or ask your bank directly what the penalty will be if you are breaking your mortgage if it's not up for renewal. I know that if it's a variable rate mortgage, usually the interest penalty is lower than if it's a fixed mortgage, especially depending on how long of a term you have remaining. So it is something that you definitely want to make sure of, because I once had to pay a mortgage penalty on my first ever condo when I was like early 20s, and the fee was almost 50% of the whole profits, where if I had known that, I might not have sold my condo when I did, but it was my fault because I didn't check ahead of time. Sometimes penalties can be over $20,000, so it's just, you definitely want to make sure that you know the penalty if you are breaking your mortgage. The eighth cost associated with selling your home, and it might not apply to everybody, but it's boarding your pets. So if you do have pets, you might want to factor in the extra little bit of money for that. If you have a dog and they're good with other dogs and kids, then maybe they can stay with me while you're selling your home. I guess I should talk to my wife before I offer that out, so we'll leave that off the table for now. But if you do have pets, you do want to set aside a little bit of money if you are going to board them, or you just have the time where you're going to be there. So if there's showings that happen, you're there to make sure that your pets are taken away, because there are people who are scared of either dogs or cats. I have a friend who's scared of birds. So regardless of what kind of pet you have, you might want to consider not having them there for showings. So the bonus, which is the one thing that the buyer always pays, is the land transfer tax. So on an average price of an $800,000 house, the land transfer tax on that would be about $12,475. If it's a first-time home buyer, they get a $4,000 land transfer tax, pretty much a rebate. So it comes off of that amount. So then they would be responsible for paying $8,475. Well, that's good news for you as a seller, because you're not going to have to pay that. Well, that concludes the video. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, hit that like button. It lets me know people are enjoying what I'm putting out there. I think it helps put my video in front of more people throughout YouTube, so it does help me out. So I definitely appreciate it. If you want to know everything about pretty much real estate area stuff, so if you're looking at what it's like to live in Toronto, Pickering, Ajax, Whitby, Oshawa, Bowmanville, then you subscribe to the channel and click that little bell. I also pop videos out there where I go over or I give tips on the buying process. I give pretty much tips or what it's like to sell your house to help paint the whole picture of the whole real estate pretty much process if you are looking to buy, sell, or invest. I have people reaching out from all over the world who are looking to move here, and then have people from here who are looking to move away, and I absolutely love it. So if you are looking at relocating to or from the Greater Toronto Area, you can reach out, you can call, text, email, whatever is easiest for you, and I'm here to make your move and relocation go so much easier. Thanks for watching, and until next time.